evening, everybody. Yes, we have a packed house here on the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, and we're glad to have you with us tonight. And when I mean we have a packed house, we have a packed house. I want to introduce the young lady to my right, the Queen of Hoop, a queen anywhere she'd want to be anyways. Her name is Megan Price. Glad to have you on, Megan.
Thank you. Super excited to join the show. It's been a while. I think I came on right at the start of baseball season. And I work double A ball. So if y'all know double A ball schedule, it's rough. So y'all haven't seen me for a while.
Well, I got news for you. Yeah, I know plenty about minor league baseball. I kind of grew up with it to begin with. So with that said, we have Jacob Christner. Glad to have you back.
Appreciate you. She might be the queen. All of you guys are the king and the queen, and I'm the court jester.
All right, whatever you say, Jacob. I'll take your word for it. Andy?
Great to be here. Love talking sports with all of you fine people.
And Will Person, the most inspiring guy in this room because of what he had been through. Why don't you let everybody know what you've had to go through really quickly? Then we'll go to Shandy, who's meeting you for the first time, and Marvin got to see it last week. Will won't be on next week because obviously another commitment, but we got him on tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, just after racing 9 years for Team USA, I was a bobsledder. If you see that picture right behind me, I had to post that thing everywhere so I can remember what was wrong with me. I was in dementia. I was gone. And I made it back. Good old Joe Namath saved my butt, man. He saved my life. So I always tell people couldn't say his name without me busting out and crying. So I found out it's still real. So just don't say his name, please. Just don't say it. Don't say it. I'm all cried out today. Yeah.
And we got the Shannon man, Tom Shanahan. Glad to have you, Tommy.
Glad to be here. Thanks. I want to hear more about Joe Namath, though.
So don't worry. Don't worry. I got news for you. We're going to talk about Joe Namath. Well, you know what? Go ahead. Go real quickly, and then we'll go over to Marvin. Give him a real quick thing that you say Joe Namath saved your life, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of my teammates began committing suicide, right? Now, and they weren't the Liberty wasn't disclosing it to us, so we finding out one by one. Later on, there was an article came out from the New York Times called Sledhead, and it actually diagnosed me. I've been seeing doctors for years. I gave up. I was there on the floor. I was in dementia. I was getting lost in the community. I didn't know what day was what. I didn't even know what month we were in, and so Joe Namath said he used this machine behind me. I got one right here. It's a hyperbaric chamber. I went and tried it. One dang hour later, man, my life came back to me. It took me 1 hour, and so ever since then, man, I've been using this machine. And so I've helped a lot more people. People call me now, they're crying and calling me the hero. But like I always refer them back to Joe Namath because he's the father of this movement. Whether he knows it or not, he's saving a lot of people now.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for being in the chat room. Great stuff. Obviously, we talked about it, Tommy, on our first show. We're going to talk about Joe Namath actually next week on Inside the Fiction, but for a different reason. Marvin's back on again. We got a loaded show tonight. All right, Marvin, welcome back in the house, brother.
Thank you for having me. Love being here with you guys. Looking forward to this.
All right, well, let's get going here. We have a lot to get to, and we got to go to New York where Justin Fields is, I think, 0-27 as a starter now. Boy, things are getting a little rough. But when an opponent scores 21 points on this guy, things are rough when you're 0-26 against him. Keep in mind, the Jets have not been the same since Robert Saleh left. Robert Saleh was 2-3. After that, they're 3-14. You want to talk about a first-class dumpster fire. Megan, it is rough in New York with the Jets.
It is. I'm not going to sit here and blame Justin Fields, though. I know he got benched, and there have been some questionable performances, but he doesn't have a coach or any type of backing within the upper management of the team. I'm pretty sure the owner still rates drafts his players off of Madden ratings. So when you have that going on in your front office and your ownership group, I'm not going to put it on the players. Justin is somebody that didn't have a great situation there in Chicago, and they're actually turning a corner without him. And then went down to Pittsburgh, and it was okay, but they didn't buy into him, and that's all right as well. But I don't think anybody has gone to the Jets and been like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm about to turn it around." Because
Yeah, we classify Woody Johnson as a very good owner, and Aaron Glenn obviously has a lot of work to do. But Jacob.
I'll tell you this, as a man, I like Justin Fields. He's a good dude. Just bringing that to the hilt, because I'm not going to put it all on him for the he just tried. But his name scalds me, considering it does, just because, and I'm saying this, Marvin, it scalds me, not because of him necessarily, but the amount of Bears fans that lied about the last guy before him. To say, even though Allen Robinson had 200 catches in 2 years with the guy, 200 in 2 years, Justin was going to be the real quarterback. They have a real quarterback now. They're going to win games. They're going to do all this stuff. And it went tank. And the Bears fans gave up 5 years, just like they give up 5 years every time they don't prefer somebody. They didn't prefer Trubisky, so they tanked up 5 years before they get somebody else there. And then if they start winning again, are they going to give up on that guy? So Justin, here's the thing. When Justin got in on game 3 against Cleveland, they had 9 sacks. Oh, we come to find out he didn't have a first team rep all training camp. They didn't work with him at all. Then he dealt with those couple of years. He goes to Pittsburgh. Love Tomlin. Everybody knows I love Tomlin, but he's not a quarterback guy. He had Roethlisberger, and that's basically what you had. It's like Dick having McMahon. He's not a quarterback guy. It's not going to be. You're not going to develop on that. And now you've got this. It's a little late for Justin to be developing now, and it's the unfortunate part. And Aaron Glenn's he's a third straight defensive guy. So, and everything just keeps getting worse over there. I feel for Justin, but the whole situation just kind of makes me blanch, if you will.
Candy?
So I'm gonna take the viewpoint of, are we gonna see more of this? Because remember, he didn't play for one school and one coach. He played in Georgia, and then he went to Ohio State too. So it's not like he's had longevity in one place with one coach to really develop him, and then to switch into the NFL and to not have longevity with coaches there to really develop him, I think is the main reason he's not having success. And to be honest with you, to not have success as a Jet, even Aaron Rodgers didn't have that much success as a Jet. And look, he's a Hall of Fame. He will be a Hall of Fame quarterback. So you can't put it all on Justin Fields at this point.
Well,
Candy just took the words out of my mouth. Like Aaron Rodgers, I remember meeting him at the ESPY Awards one year. It was like 2008 when he was sitting there waiting because Brett Favre wasn't sure what he was going to do. And they were both sitting there looking at each other at the ESPYs, and it was tension. And Justin Timberlake was the MC, and he was messing. You know how they be messing with the people, and they definitely got him. So they didn't do anything with him. So I don't see him doing anything. I think they're going to keep going down this path they're on. I can't see how they're going to turn this around this year. They might as well just wash their hands and just take them losses and see if they can get some good draft picks next year.
Tommy?
I'm going to blame Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's Ohio State quarterbacks are productive, but none of them turn out to be good in the NFL. In 2017, J.T. Barrett and Dwayne Haskins were the top 2 quarterbacks. Third team was Joe Burrow. Burrow transferred to LSU. We all know what he did at LSU, what he did with the Bengals. And then Urban Meyer screwed up Trevor Lawrence some more. So Justin Fields just never got the coaching in college that other guys got.
Marvin?
Yeah, well, in regards to him not getting the coaching in college, he chose to leave Georgia. That was his decision. It was a business decision. I get it. He chose to go to Ohio State, where you're right. They don't have a great history of turning out great NFL quarterbacks. The biggest issue is this. If we had a different quarterback, a better quarterback, we'd be in a different position. And that's what I believe. Last year, Jet fans, we hated Aaron Rodgers, the drama, all his games, the stuff he's saying, on the shows and just everything that went with him. But we also forget he was recovering from an Achilles injury. Right now, he's not playing like vintage Aaron Rodgers, but guess what? His team is a contender right now, and he ain't the problem. And, he threw a few picks last week, but he's out there making plays still. Justin Fields holds the ball too long. He's afraid to throw the ball. He had that same problem before he even got to New York. You had people predicting the Jets to go to the playoffs this year, okay, based on a run game, based on an all-pro receiver, based on a good young O-line and a Pro Bowl player at every level on defense. If we had a different quarterback, the Jets right now would be 3-4 or 4-3. I hate the kid got $40 million. He got 2 years. You know, it's good for him, but he ain't the guy, and he has to go. And I hate to say it because I wanted to see what he could do if he had a team around him. And I believe that he is the biggest problem of a few problems.
All right, we talked about this last night, and I wanted this group to talk about it as well. You talk about frequent flyer miles. The Stanford Cardinals gets them. They'll end up traveling over 6 games, 23,562 miles. Okay, and that's part of those games include at North Carolina, Miami, and Virginia. We know about them being a part of the Atlantic Coast Conference. But get this, here's a great fact that I dug up. The Earth's circumference is 24,901 miles is the distance, and that's if you want, and that's when you talk about going around the equator. I never thought I'd see the day I'd bring the Earth and the equator on one particular show, but 24,901 yards is the distance all the way around the equator. Megan, what are your thoughts about those miles? 23,562. Really, seriously, really down to 24,901? Unbelievable stuff.
It's insanity. I don't really know what you can even add to that. I mean, it's just insane.
Neither does anybody else, really. But go ahead and take your best shot.
You know, as the conference realignments happened, and we started to wonder what was going to happen with these travel times and how that was going to affect all levels. I think we see this transitioning in different areas as well, and you know, we will see some changes go back to, I think, some of our old way of systems.
Jacob,
you know, a lot of these miles and everything. That's what I was thinking about when we first saw this, how much they're going to be going. But one of the biggest things they're going through the ACC and doing that drive is they're going to hope that Bill Belichick's the coach of the other two teams also. So, but really by itself, you're going to have a quote unquote Pac-10, Pac-12 school doing this once a year. It's like we see Stanford doing it now. It could just be anybody the next year, UCLA, USC. It's because all those home games they're getting now are going on the road. So we're going to be switching that around, you know. So in Stanford next year, those will be home games.
That's a good point. Go ahead, Candy.
You know, as we've talked about, we've changed conference realignment, and it's no longer regional. It's going. We talked about the Big Ten. It's not even the Big Ten anymore, but they go from coast to coast, and you're going to have these kind of matchups. But we're also paying these players too at this point, so it's not like, you know, I mean, come on, let's face it. You know, if someone's going to pay me to go fly out to the other coast and play, I'll do it. Like, it's part of their job, and that we have to, that's part of what they need to think about is that, you know, and I think the schools have to be smart enough when they're building in their budgets to allow time that they're not like just flying in and boom, going to the game, like, so that they have adjustment time to like the time zone and stuff like that. Like some of these colleges are now playing games overseas too, to, you know, to kind of spark, just like the NFL has done to spark interest. So you're going to see more and more of this, I think.
Well,
I the only thing I really have to add is these guys aren't flying coach. You know, they're flying, man. This is a whole different thing. Like when we were back when I was in school, you know, we weren't flying like that. We'd be lucky to get on the plane. We might have to take a long road trip. So, and then the other thing that comes with that, I remember, is like when you fly that much, the illnesses start to hit those teams. Because one person on that plane is sick, everybody gets sick. That's where I think it's going to come into play later. Like that them flus and those bugs, when they come, they circulate that air. Now they all have it. Now how's that team going to play this week? So that's what we're going to see, I believe.
Tommy?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I remember when the NFL, they used to talk about this, about the Seahawks, about how they had to fly more miles than other teams when the West was playing the East Division school teams. And they're pros. They all had a girlfriend in those different towns, so they were probably looking forward to the game. I don't think college kids really care. I mean, if you're a college kid, how many flights have you been on in your life? So I don't think it's that big of a deal. What it is that the adults have screwed up college sports so that we have realignment.
Right.
And the conferences have been shuffled in such a crazy way.
I just think we forget about the student part when we talk about student athletes, though. Like I get that they're semi-pro athletes, and I definitely think they should be paid. I've never been a proponent against that, but what about the student part of that?
I would be curious to find out what percentage actually go to class now in this day and age.
The overwhelming majority.
They're not going to class.
Oh,
They're
no,
definitely
well,
going to class. They
so
absolutely are going to class. They are.
I'm
absolutely
glad you're
not
saying
gonna
that
question.
part, just because there are quite a few of NILs and everything like that, and you're ready for that. I'm glad you told me that, because I was always wondering that. What would
I mean, the superstars aren't going to class. Angel Reese didn't go to class.
No,
Okay.
I know that.
I did it Reggie Bush, but again, that's because he was Reggie Bush getting harassed on campus.
Right. I'm not saying all of them aren't going to class, but the superstars aren't going to class because of the level of money that they're making.
Okay, so
and travel time, they're going to be doing a lot of Zoom.
Right. So I guess
I'm not saying they're not.
I guess I took that as the players are choosing to not go to class and just stay home and chill.
No. They're doing Zooms. They're doing online classes.
Yeah, that's class.
They travel too much. They travel
okay.
too much to actually be in class.
I learn on this Zoom from y'all all the time. Scott, more than
Yeah.
okay.
No,
they're doing their part.
Wait. Well, you know how I learned it out doing Zoom? The Miami Marlins taught me how to do it because I didn't know how to do it. I had to go with one of their PR guys who had to walk me through it every time they get out their media availability. That's what my access was to Don Mattingly. To get to Don, I had to learn Zoom, and their PR guys walked me through it because I was, in the eyes of all Latins, El Stupido until I figured it out. All right. Well, anyways, I had to throw it in there.
Great Spanish.
That's all I know, man. Don't even think I'm bilingual. I'm anything but. All right, Marvin, you can finish out the topic. A lot more to get to. We know the Queen of Hoops deserves her a little bit of hoops tonight, and I got some for her. So go ahead, Marvin.
Well, I'll tell you like this. When I was at USC, we flew to Penn State. We flew to Florida State. We flew to Notre Dame twice. Personally, I used to love the away games. I used to love the road trips. It was never exhausting to me. It was exciting going to these college stadiums. I was a football nut as a kid, so I had admiration for so many schools. And it was exciting to me, just being in that process. I never felt like it was an issue at all. On top of that, if you were paying me NIL money, like Cammy's talking about, I really wouldn't have a problem. And on top of that, like Will was saying, these guys are riding in huge planes. No players are sitting next to each other. These guys are stretched out, laid back. They're eating the best food you can bring on that plane. I mean, it's a first-class experience if you're a Power 4 team. That's how it was for us at SC back in the 90s. And, this is way before NIL, right? So, this is what Stanford signed up for. They signed up for this, capitalism, nothing survives capitalism. It's all about that money, and college football is no different, now everyone's getting paid. That's the difference, or getting paid in the open, I should say. So, it's a new day. The players have no right to complain because they've taken that money. And at the end of the day, they're having a great time. Don't feel sorry for them. These guys are living the life. Trust me.
Marvin, was that a confession? And do you want to?
Listen, man, it is what it is. Let's keep moving.
Hey, listen, let's get one thing straight. I don't feel sorry for them. All I'm doing is stating the facts. So the only facts I know is this, okay? And if you're a lottery player out there and you're watching on YouTube or anybody out there on any of the audio providers, here's some 5-digit numbers to play. 23,562. And if you win, I don't want to know about it, but enjoy it. Just make sure if you don't pay your taxes, it won't matter to me. I don't really care. Okay, and the other one is 24901. Miles on both ends. Circumference, or was it the distance around to the equator is one of the 5 digits, and the other one is what the cardinal is going to fly. And I don't mean the cardinals that fly. The cardinal, I guess that's the one of the religious version, right? I think that's what they do out there. I was actually out at Palo Alto. It's a pretty cool place, by the way. All right, let's continue on here. The title of the show is "Are the Indianapolis Colts for Real?" Well, let's talk about it. The Colts are 6-1. They defeated the LA Chargers over the weekend. Get this, okay? But Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns, 16 rushes for 94 yards, 3 receptions for 38 yards, and Daniel Indiana Jones, by the way, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Are they for real, Megan?
Sorry, I was unmuting myself.
That's
I
all right.
absolutely think they are for real. I think the one consistent thing that they've had over these last 6-7 years, while they've had the coaching carousel and the QB carousel, has been their defense. They've always had a real decent defense. It's kind of like the Jets. Their bread and butter for some years that kept them a little competitive was their defense, and I think that's what's missing for them this year. But for the Colts, it's never gone anywhere, despite all these changes. So I like to see the offense coming around on this as well. Yeah, I think they're for real.
38-24, the final in that game. Jacob?
Hard to say, but I brought this up the last week. One thing I do like with, like I said, what they thought of with Daniel Jones was the fact that he's in the Corn Belt. He's in the Corn State, and there's a little less stress. So, and then they're really with Jonathan Taylor and all that kind of stuff. He just has to do just enough, and he's a veteran, so he can still be able to help on something like that. So yeah, they could be, but time will tell. Mind you, if Jonathan Taylor, if he allows it, I'm saying if he stays healthy for 17 games, we won't know anything. If he gets hurt, we'll know for sure if Daniel Jones can do it with a backup. Then we're going to know if he's for real or if he was just getting help. But either way, though, it's a team. And I like the team and how they're run.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. Katie?
I think they are for real. And let's look at the conference that they're in right now. It's the then it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 4-3. Houston Texans 2-4, and Tennessee Titans are 1-6. So, if you look at the other teams aren't gelling, aren't doing it, but Indy is doing it. They're getting it done. I love the fact that they do have a mixture. It's, we all know that I'm a Wisconsin girl, so Jonathan Taylor, I knew he was going to do well. And I think they just needed the right fit. So I think, bringing in the quarterback, having the right running back, being a balanced attack, also having the defense. Yeah, I think they are for real.
Well,
I think that it's 2 things that can help you win. Like, one thing about NFL, we know any given Sunday, as they always say, anybody can win. But when you get on the team and you're actually winning, it starts to get hard to lose. Like, when you have that swag that comes out of nowhere, and once that swag is there, like, you beating teams you're not supposed to beat. And we see it happen all the time. And now I'm looking at, I know the Division A is kind of beat up right now. So they should at least get into the playoffs. But now I'm looking at some of these teams like Baltimore, who's lost a lot of games, or they got quarterbacks out. And when they start coming back and start getting that momentum, we're going to see what happens then. But I think they're for real.
Tommy?
Yeah, the NFL is such a long season, and most teams have 2 or 3 seasons with peaks and valleys. So they might tail off a little bit. But let's look at their head coach, Shane Steichen. His reputation was quarterbacks. The Colts' reputation is defense. He's in his 3rd season. It's all coming together for whatever the reasons are. It's all coming together this season. 6-1, they're a third of the way through. They might drop off for a spell there, but they seem to have the foundation to finish strong and at least be a playoff team, if not a 1 or 2 or 3 loss team.
Marvin?
Yeah, to a little bit to what Jacob was saying, I think they're real because that running game is real. And Jonathan Taylor is real, and it's consistent, and it's coming, and it's coming, and no one's stopping it. And and this rookie tight end, Tyler Warren, who tore up USC last year when he was at Penn State, he's looking at having a Pro Bowl season. Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver. He happens to be another Trojan as well. Great receiver for them. And Danny Dimes. Danny Jones is the real deal. What it comes down to is fit. Look at Sam Darnold in Minnesota. Look at when he was in Minnesota. Look at Baker in Tampa. It comes down to fit and just being in the right situation. Again, I'm one of these guys. I think a lot of these quarterbacks get a bad rap when they go to these teams because in these teams aren't really ready for them. People forget. Caleb Williams' dad, was complaining about him going to Chicago because he didn't want to have to deal with 3 head coaches and 3 offense coordinators in 2 years, and that's what he's dealt with. So with Daniel Jones, I don't know if he was put in a great situation. To be honest with you, they took away Saquon, but they should have paid Saquon. But that didn't work out to be great for him. But he's balling. Colts are real. Run game is real. They have a lot of football left. We haven't seen them deal with adversity. They're at 10. You have 10 more weeks of regular season football. That's a lot of football. Wow. To Tom's point, it's almost it's another season in itself. It seems like, right? So let's see if they can hold on. Let's see if they can deal with adversity. Let's see what happens in those situations. But for right now, 7 weeks in, man, they are looking like they are the real deal.
All right, we'll talk more
football.
Shout
out the Ursi ladies for sure. Like I've been really impressed how serious they're taking their transition and taking over the team, and I've just been so impressed with them.
Well, I'll tell you this. They took a lot of beating because they were on the mic last year. They were on the mic last year trying to see if the coaches knew what they were talking about, and there were a bunch of guys going, "What do they know?" Blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, they've been on the sidelines since they're like 3.
Their whole lives, yeah. No, and I love that response from her too. She said, "I grew up with football." Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, but that's what the thing is. They say something like that, but I'm like, does the idea? What did you expect them to be doing? Playing dolls in the office with their dad while he's running the team? They'd be watching. They'd be watching everything, and it was all the daughters. And and the kind of personality Jim Irsay was, darn good well he was going to get them involved. No question.
All right, let's switch the narrative to hoops a little bit while I've got Megan here. I want to get a few things in. I know that the WNBA obviously was working on a collective bargaining agreement, but let's talk about the growth of the game dating back to last preseason. Get this, according to Front Office Sports Indiana, Fever preseason game against Brazil drew 3 million viewers on ESPN, more than any NBA preseason game except when Caitlin Clark and LeBron James. Megan, this is unbelievable stuff that they were able to draw 3 million people back then.
Absolutely. So it was a record-breaking season for the WNBA, whether it was playoffs, preseason, regular season. Like it was an amazing season. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Caitlin healthy for a majority of the season. We saw some other ladies that were out a good portion of the season. Angel Reese was out at the end of the season, so we didn't get to see a lot of the matchups that we wanted to see. And then, of course, they were partaking in the coaching carousel as well. We saw Sandy Brondello found a landing spot today with the Toronto Tempo. And there have been a couple of other hires. There was a move there in Portland as well. So I'm just really interested to see what they're going to do with these expansion drafts. We've seen them with one team already and how they're doing that. How are they going to do that, introducing 2 into the expansion draft? So while all of that is just kind of conjecture, to be perfectly honest, because we got a deadline coming up on the 30th for the CBA. So even if we can figure out expansion drafts and all that, are we having a season? We don't know. And I don't think so, to be perfectly honest. It doesn't seem like either side is giving very much. And so I think we're on the verge of a lockout. Will they be able to come to an agreement before the season starts? Possibly. Or we'll see a shortened season. But it's very interesting. We will see an unrivaled season during the middle of this, during free agency as well. So we'll see. But the excitement is there. And so I think regardless of a lockout or not, people are going to be talking. And we saw with the controversy, even when it brought out the ugly in people, they were talking about it. And as Jerry says, all press is good press.
Jacob,
you watch, Megan, just for a second, the minute that there is a lockout, and there will be, you're correct. And is there a season? I'm with you. I don't believe so either. But you watch, Unrivaled is going to start getting in the news for contracts they give to those girls to troll the WNBA. Bad.
Absolutely. Well, they did it in year one already. They have
Yeah.
comparable, if not better, contracts for an 8-week league.
Oh, better for the 8-week. It's not even
What
close.
can you
And plus,
say?
the perks are better. The perks are way better. Everything is better. I mean, the revenue sharing
And even
already.
I'll add one last thing to that because of
Mhm.
course the commissioner controversy that's going on right now. And while I don't want to discredit her because the amount of improvements that have happened while she's been commissioner are exponential. And so I definitely don't want to discredit her for that. But can you replace one person at the commissioner position if you've lost control completely? Or can you replace 175 ladies with built-in fan bases? You can't come in and replace an entire league right now, but you can replace one person at the head of it and satisfy those other ladies who have built-in fan bases. That FYI, while she's sitting there saying, they should be so glad they have a platform. Yes, they should. But Caitlin Clark, for example, built her platform in Iowa way before she set a foot in WNBA. So,
Caitlin Clark's had a platform since she was 7 years old, running underneath.
But she was in Iowa, though. She was in Iowa. She never left Iowa. She built that platform. She put in all that hard work there in Iowa. She built that, not the WNBA.
But you're correct on that. But I'm just saying she's had a platform since she was 7 years old, running under with some kids' legs to go through. It's like,
but is it sustainable? That's my question.
Well, no. I mean, but the way she said that about Caitlin Clark, it's like she's bigger from the get-go, she's bigger than the WNBA. So Unrivaled already tried to get her last year in the first place. So we'll
never see Caitlin or Asia play Unrivaled.
No,
It'll never happen. They don't have to. Asia just released probably the most successful women's shoe of all time this year, and the colorways just keep dropping. So they don't need the money to play outside of regular season WNBA. They don't need it. We'll never see them do it.
I bet you can see Asia and Caitlin you get with an investors and get their own league. Bet you could do that before anything like that.
I mean, they don't need to. Stewie and Fee already have their own league. So I don't think that, I don't think that they'll do that. I'm sure the WNBA will figure out something. Will they have to change leadership? That's the question.
Yes.
So with that said, Jacob, okay, I'm going to go around the horn with this. Okay. And that obviously, what are your thoughts about what they did in Brazil? I want to make sure everybody can comment on this. I have another important Caitlin Clark. I want to just keep it moving along so we can get as much while we have Megan and Tommy on. We still have some football. Tommy, if you can hang with us a few minutes longer, I want to get to what we want to get to as well. Are you okay with that a little bit, Tommy, please? So, all right. So what are your thoughts, Jacob? Stick to Brazil, okay, and only Brazil. Otherwise, I'll send you over to Argentina and join my Argentine gringo over there. I got
make it Venezuela. No,
that too. I'll send you there too.
Don't take a boat.
Yeah, I got a good one lined up for you, Jacob. Stick to Brazil here. What are your thoughts about what Caitlin and the gang did down there? That was unbelievable stuff, wasn't it, Jacob?
Yes, it was. And I was just trying to bring in basic. I was trying to do in basic in comparison to what we see with the WNBA. That's all I was going at.
I'm just kidding with you. I like to fuck your shots. You've been talking to
you. I know.
And you haven't seen Megan in a while. She's loving it. I got news for her. There's a reason why this lady's a queen of hoop. She knows it better than anybody. I've never seen anybody. She's a hoop encyclopedia. We'll call her the queen of hoop encyclopedia. We could add another digit to it. After all, we're adding miles and miles. We'll add another word. All right, Candy.
Yeah. What I do on the girls' show is I let Megan talk about basketball because that is her stuff. I'm not as well versed on it. I'm glad for the WNBA and going to Brazil and getting the viewership that they have. But I will say to Megan's point, I think the problem is definitely the commissioner, and I think they're going to have to do something because I think so many people have come out and talked about it at this point that I think it's inevitable.
Well,
I don't think I'm sure it's the commissioner, but I believe that commissioner is, that's a puppet. He's being controlled by the owners, the people with the money. And my question is, I wonder if it's sustainable because the WNBA grew in 1 year. I literally turned off NFL games to watch WNBA games. That was what? How did that happen? But I tell you what, Asia did, she was doing an interview. It was the most funniest thing I've seen on TV in forever. She looked like she was in Star Wars. She had on this thing on her head. It was like a wrap. There's some ears and some things. And while she's giving this interview, her mom texts her, and she looked down, and she did like this, and she just busts out laughing. She's like, "This is my mom. Thanks, Mom, for looking out." She said, "I look like something out of Star Wars." And she took that stuff off, man. But it was the funniest thing. I haven't laughed so hard like that. I needed that laugh. But I question, like, can it last? Can it last? Anything that grows that fast usually crumbles somewhere. And I think that's the growing pain they're going through. Yeah.
Tommy?
Yeah, there's always been a lot of great players in women's basketball in college, but it took one player, like everything else in America, it takes one spark plug to generate a nationwide connection. I haven't followed it real closely, but I understand the women are pretty united, and like it's been said here that there'll probably be a lockout. The other thing that I heard the other day was Adam Silver, and I'm not sure what his connection is. How he's in the middle of this, but that he's good. If the WNBA starts having problems, he's going to damage his legacy, which has been sterling ever since he got rid of Donald Sterling. So
Because he's the head of both leagues, that's why.
Yeah. So
Kathy's the commissioner, but she answers to Silver.
So from what I understand, he's not very supportive of the women. He basically said they should be happy with the money they've got. It's better than it was before, or something like that. But it
was the tone. Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty ugly. I mean, it's surprising coming from him.
Marvin?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: if Will turned off an NFL game to watch a WNBA game, then whatever the WNBA is doing in the marketing is working. It's a new day. Because I'm watching these NFL games, right? And I support the WNBA. I have before Caitlin. Caitlin definitely got me on board on a different level. I mean, I jumped on that Caitlin train, boy. I think she's a special athlete. With that said, if Will represents, this new generation of men who doing this, then hey, it is what it is, man. I think the WNBA is doing a great job overall. I love to see the stars, the women being promoted. And, I think it's just going to get better and grow. Ultimately, it comes down to the money. And if this commissioner is slowing up, the unity and CBA and talks, they're going to get her out of there. You know what I'm saying? Because this is about money. It ain't about basketball. It ain't about feelings. It ain't about the fans. It's about bringing in that money and making that money. And if she's slowing it up, she's out.
Well, Marvin, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, by the way, it was actually a ex-football player, pro football player, who called me told me to change the channel. That's how big this was.
I know that's right.
It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day.
Hey, Marvin, the thing about this, and I always say this part, is I was really annoyed and irritated when she said that about Caitlin Clark. Considering, and I'm saying this,
ignorant.
Someone like you watched it. I did not before Caitlin. I mean, Megan knows me a while. She knows I didn't. I'd never pretended otherwise. But let me say this. Let me say this part. When one of the biggest jokes on the Family Guy was, how is the WNBA? Let's ask the fan. Yay. and it was like, now they are gigantic as far as the amount of rock star that all these players get. And it's like, just to say something like that, it's absolutely arrogant.
Yeah. All right. Well, here, let's continue on. And that's this. I want to stay on the WNBA theme because it gets even more interesting because after Caitlin Clark's injury, 39%, the Fever viewership, 39% on NBA TV went down after her injury, and 357K Fever without her versus the Mystics, and 581K versus the Atlanta Dream 8 days earlier on the same network. That's the impact that Caitlin Clark has in terms of, I mean, that's just unbelievable stuff.
However, I think you got to shout out the rest of the roster, though, because they just continued to fight and just wouldn't go away. Every single guard, they had 7 guard injuries, 7. Like they had to bring like 3 extra guards in, and they got injured. So like they just didn't go away. So shout out to them that regardless of not having the season that they wanted, man, they just continued to show up.
Well, when the viewership drops 39% on NBA TV, that's a lot for your audience.
For sure.
During the injury.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, and then when you're talking 357K, I can't count that high And of course, without her against a Mystic, 581K, those aren't small numbers. Okay, Jacob, rapid fire on this one because I got a couple more I have to get in with
You got it.
with Megan. Rapid fire. Some thoughts about the decline on the attendance when Miss Clark is not on the floor.
I'm just being exceptionally honest. I mean, and all that kind of stuff. I myself didn't watch until her, and I was watching it in Iowa when she was doing it for myself. So yeah, I'm not the only one that's going to admit that. So yeah, there would be that drop, and it's like, but at the same time, they got crowds even after Caitlin was hurt. So there's a rock star element to the WNBA now, which is why this is such a bad timing to be able to do something like this, and it could just destroy the momentum. It'd be too bad also.
Katie?
It's always bad timing with the W. It's always bad timing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Caitlin started in Iowa, and that's where the popularity started with what she was doing, how she was handling herself, how she was scoring, and that just transposed to her audiences in the WNBA. She was drawing at Iowa there was record attendance then, and it continued to the WNBA. A lot of people follow her. A lot of people follow certain players. I think sometimes people follow players instead of teams, and so they're going to watch that player whenever that player is playing. And if that player is not there, then they're going to be sad. Kind of like, we hate to say it, but there are people that the NBA has load management, whether they're going to admit it or not. They don't always play every game. And a lot of fans get really upset when they go to see a game, and because there might be a casual fan, or they can't afford to have like season tickets and go to a bunch of games, or a team's traveling in and they want to see a LeBron, and LeBron doesn't play because and then they get upset. So I can totally see where once she was injured, it had an effect.
Will?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. I just don't think it's sustainable because anytime you grow too fast, things crumble. And matter of fact, even myself this year, I find myself like I went to turn the game on a couple of times and she wasn't playing, so I might have watched a little bit and went back and forth a little bit, but I just don't watch the same. And it's not that I'm not a fan of WNBA, because I used to go to the Utah games all the time when they had a team. Well, it's way back in was it the late 90s, I believe it was, or early 2000s. I can't remember when it was, but yeah, but I just wonder if it's sustainable, and if when you grow too fast, you're just going to crumble. And they're fighting too. So yeah, that's bad.
Tommy.
Well, also, Marvin, you want to know who was a big fan way, like probably when Caitlin was 10 years old? Jesse the Body Ventura. Huge fan. Every interview he was on, he would promote the WNBA. He said it was better team ball, better
You're
everything.
Right. You're right.
So there are people there. I mean, by itself, there were people, and don't use me as an example of a fan. I just say I was just an individual player. But there are ones like that. It's going to be too bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Wooden said the same stuff, that he enjoyed. He thought the women's game was more fundamentally based. Part of it, I think, is just cyclical, or the nature of sports. I can remember before Magic, the Lakers didn't sell out the Forum. People didn't care about the Lakers before the Forum. Why did the Jets sign Joe Namath? Ticket sales went up throughout the AFL. If you have a women's track meet next week, nobody show up. If you have an Olympic women's track meet, the stadium's full. So some of it's just cyclical.
Marvin?
Yeah, and really, to Tom's point, another reason why Caitlin is just so different and so amazing is she reminds me of like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali, and how they impacted the business of their sport. They moved the needle. They were the game changers of their sport. They brought the masses to their sport, and that's what Tiger did without question. That's what Jordan did. And I'm starting to smell the same thing with Caitlin. I really am. I think she has a long way to go to get to where those guys are at. But I think you're looking at somebody who can be in that conversation, because all the signs are showing that. I think it's amazing. And let me listen. I wasn't a WNBA diehard, but I love competition. I love competition at the highest level, whether it's men, women. It doesn't matter to me. College, pro, doesn't matter. So I was a guy who absolutely would catch a few WNBA games in there. But when that girl in Iowa started doing what she was doing, I was glued to that TV. It was appointment TV for me, and I wanted to see it live on television. I'm looking at her as potentially, the next Ollie Jordan Tiger in regards to how she's changing the business and moving the masses.
I'll
I'll
close out the topic this way, unless you want to add one quick thing, Jacob.
Yeah.
I'm a Sophie. Go ahead, Jacob.
But you want to know why I believe truly that she is such in that realm. I'm talking about Michael Jordan and from that thing from the 90s and whatever. I'll put the Larry Bird in this also. Is people that watch, when they watched Michael, they watched Larry, they watch all that stuff. They're just watching somebody who's focused almost exclusively on her basketball and her skill and everything. And if anybody brings any other subject up, she is very little to say about it other than like on and up there. Like they brought up about the black and white in the thing, and she had about a paragraph to say, which a lot of them accepted it and a lot of them were irritated, but she's focused on basketball. And that's what makes the star out of something like this and everything, because there's just a lot of people that just want to watch sports to escape the world that we see right now.
All right, well, I'll tell you this. I am a Sophie Cunningham fan. And you know why I am a Sophie Cunningham fan? Because she protects Caitlin Clark. She does a much better job protecting Caitlin Clark than Rosie Greer did protecting Robert F. Kennedy, who got killed. So there, I'm leaving it at that. There's a sense of humor. Sophie Cunningham, I believe. I believe, Sophie, you're great. I became a fan of you. I remember, I'm a guy that covered the Bad Boys. How can I not be a fan of her? And by the way, the name Sophie isn't a bad name. Like my grandmother, I have a legendary grandmother named Sophie Morgenroth that was that too. So from one Sophie to another, Sophie Cunningham, you're my hero. Protect Caitlin Clark. The WNBA has a puncher's chance. And I'll continue one more topic that I think is good. And then, Tommy, we're going to get back to football, but I can't leave without this one. In fact, I got two more topics that are necessary that I need Megan on, and this is one of them. Candy and I had the opportunity to cover the NCAA Women's Final Four, and a young lady by the name of Paige Beckers. You ever heard of her? That little blonde bomber that plays for Dallas. Oh, my God, the Wings. No, not the Dallas Red Wings. We have the Detroit Red Wings. As you tell by my shirt, they're not Dallas Wings, which there is no red. I don't know what colors. I don't even care. But nevertheless, Paige Beckers is the only athlete, male or female, to defeat 6 number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament 2022. She defeated number 1 NC State. In 2022, she had the Stanford Cardinal. Of course, Candy and I will see the Stanford Cardinal football team this weekend. And in 2024, at USC, Marvin, sorry, but they got it. They did it to you twice. In 2024 and 25, and UCLA, Candy and I saw that whipping, and of course South Carolina was even worse. Oh my gosh, the legend of Paige Beckers, Megan. I'm glad you definitely get to come on the show to listen to about all these people.
Absolutely. So Paige is somebody that the year before Caitlin really got big, we were paying attention to her. If you're a basketball fan, you were paying attention to Caitlin regardless, but when Paige won National Player of the Year as a freshman, and then she got hurt the next year, and then she got hurt the next year again, Caitlin's star really just started to shine super, super bright. And I think in the in-between time, people forgot how good Paige Beckers is. And when they came back, they went on a historic run. And it started with a loss to Tennessee. Tennessee is a wild card anytime you see them because they've got this Coach Caldwell, and she runs the system where she checks out 5 players at a time every minute to 45 seconds to 2 minutes. Every single minute, 45 or 2 minutes, she's switching out 5 to 4 players at a time. And when you are a tough defensive team like they are, and they were a great 3-point shooting team as well, they handed UConn a pretty rough loss. And we saw Gino go in the press, and I wasn't a big fan of this at the time, but clearly the man knows more about basketball than I do. He knows more about winning than all of us, probably in the world. Clearly he knew what he was doing, because he went in the press and he criticized Paige immediately. He said it started with the leadership on the floor, and we saw Paige come out and do some amazing things last season. And then she won Rookie of the Year as well. And shout out to UConn having both Rookies of the Year in the professional leagues coming out of UConn. Stephon Castle, who plays for my team, the Spurs, he's playing right now. And then Paige Becker's got Rookie of the Year there in Dallas. Coaching is so important. And we talked about this before: leadership, your ownership, your GM. And those are all issues in Dallas right now. They had 6 head coaches in the last 8 years. That speaks volumes. And if you want to say that's a coaching problem, or if you want to say that's a GMing problem or an ownership problem, it's a lot of problems. And you got to figure out who you're going to put at the helm of things, because Paige is generational. She didn't get the same records in college that others got, but she got that ring, baby. She's a winner.
And you know what? I know you only have about 5 minutes, so I need you to comment on one more topic, okay? Elijah Martin, who came out of Florida, played for FAU. What kind of a player do you think he's going to be in the NBA? They say he's probably one of the most complete two-way guards in college. So FAU is great, and of course he did well for Florida. Go ahead.
So I am such a huge proponent of defense that I hate that we even use the term two-way player, because you should be playing both sides of the ball. Like, it shouldn't be one-sided like that. Like, I realize you're going to have a few role players that come in for certain things. Like Danny Green for the Spurs, we knew he was going to come in and hit a pocket three. Like, that's what he was going to do always. However, your superstars need to be two-way players regardless. So I think that he's going to do tremendous, because that's not necessarily the norm anymore in NBA. And I guess really any level of basketball, to be honest, because we've seen that transition to other levels. It looks very similar to the international game. I think the NBA is kind of transitioning to that. I'm interested to see, though, how this will change, because we have a lot of height in the league this year. Houston, they're huge, super tall. OKC, they have a lot of height. The Pelicans have a lot of height. We got Luke Cornett and Wemby there in San Antonio. Like, there's a lot of big men. Are we going to see the return of post play? So if this young man can get in there and make a name for him on the defensive side of the ball, I think that the adjustments on the offensive side of the ball will come, because there's always a learning curve when you switch from, I guess we're calling them semi-pro now, to fully professional, because, them being paid, I don't think that they're amateur athletes anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw him play at FAU. Great player under Dusty Mandan, of course. I think it's Todd Golden, I think it is, Candy, out in Florida. So he had good coaching in college. So Elijah Martin's the real deal. So, all right, Megan, I know you have to roll in a minute, so why don't you let everybody know they get a hold of you, then we'll go ahead and I'll give everybody the rest of the topics. So I want to make sure you got these important ones in. Thank you very much for being on Sports Exchange, and look forward to having you on hopefully a little bit longer the next time. But we want to make sure you got a little bit of football and some quality basketball as well. Go ahead, Megan. Let everybody know they get a hold of you.
Okay, you can just search the Queen of Hoop. You'll find me on Facebook, IG, and X, or you can search the Chicks Podcast. You will find that on YouTube and all podcast platforms, thankfully, because Candy knows how to put the audio from that for us. So she saved us when it came to that. And the Chicks Podcast, so we have 2 versions of that. We got Chicks and Salsa, and then we have 3 Chicks in a Pod. So one is more of an investigative style type of journalism, and then the others is just a panel of ladies having a good time talking sports. So if you enjoy the ladies' perspective on sports, make sure you check out the Chicks Podcast.
It's a great show. Yeah, Candy saves everybody, but I'm glad that she's a part of your show.
This is a saving grace, yes.
With you, Carrie Johnson, Jennifer Matthews, and Candy, and the new lady, I don't know anything about her.
Her name's Dawn.
Dawn, well, you guys are a hit, and I'm glad that you spent a little time tonight with us, and hopefully we'll catch you when you have another opportunity to come on. Megan, I adore you very much. You're a great friend. And thank you very much for being on the Sports Exchange. Everybody, this is Megan Price, the Queen of Hoop, the Motor City Madmouth. Enjoy your rest of your evening, Megan. Okay?
See you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Go Spurs.
There you go.
Right on.
All right, Jacob. Now I can take the leash off you a little bit, man. I had to make sure we got it
I
in there.
didn't know I had a leash on me.
All right, well, good. Talk about Paige Beckers. What kind of a player this girl is?
That first year was tremendous, but here is where my thought process is.
Well, I'm not
It's
only
reminding-
talking about her first year. I'm talking about what she did in college. All those number one teams that mentioned the first year.
Oh yeah, but you're talking about that. We're talking about. I'm talking about this. Her knees.
I know what
I'm
you're
wondering
talking
that for
about.
the
Go
next
ahead.
year. Yeah, I'm wondering that for the next year. She played wonderful. She was awesome at UConn. She was awesome first year. My main thing I think about right now, she's had 2 knee injuries. It reminds me of Michael Penix, who is having a problem with his knees right now in Atlanta. So let's see what year 2 brings. But right now, she looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, beating all those number one seeds, no male or female athlete's ever done this before. That's what makes the stat so astonishing. Andy?
Mhm.
You know, I got the privilege to be on the side of the court and take pictures of her while she was playing, and to see the true talent that she has. That she, and she does it like effortlessly. Like it just, I'm in awe because like I was never that good, obviously, to play basketball, but what she's done for her teams and helping her teams, has just been nothing shy of remarkable. She received so many honors, so many trophies. Let's hope. I mean, obviously, last year she had really good success. Let's hope if there is a season that she continues to have success.
I'll say one thing before I turn it over. If the NBA locks out the league is dead. 1994 baseball strike. This league doesn't have enough cachet to survive anything like this. That's what I think. That's all I'm going to say. Well, we'll stay on point with Paige Beckers. This young lady's a spark plug. Gino Oriema likes her, but he's had some interesting times coaching her. But as far as being able to beat 6 number one seeds, this young lady certainly knows how to play well in the clutch when it matters well.
Oh, for you me? Oh,
Yeah,
how tall is Paige?
I don't know.
6 foot.
Like 6'2", I think.
Okay. Well, I think she'll be okay. Like I'm concerned. Like I've never really followed her career or anything, but what I do know about injuries, after my last collegiate race, I had my knee scoped, and after my last Olympic race, I had to have a microfracture repair. And this, these doctors are so much better these days, and I was blessed after both of those surgeries to just be able to continue to be an active person, whether it was sports or just being a human being, just walking around doing stuff. But sometimes, basketball is a different beast. It's a lot of pounding up and down, up and down, up and down that court. So I want to watch her career and see how she does. Give her 2 years in the league and see where she is after that. That's what is, can she make it? Can she stay?
Tommy.
Yeah, I think most of us knew about Paige Beckers as a freshman before we knew about Caitlin Clark.
Right.
But then she had that UConn platform, but then she got the injuries, and then for whatever reason, Caitlin Clark caught fire with the whole country. So we kind of forgot about Paige Beckers, but give her credit for coming back from those injuries and finishing her college career great, and then having a great rookie season.
Marvin.
Paige Beckers is the definition of what you call a dog player. Just gritty, grind it out, tough, get the job done. Someone you can count on, someone you can lean on. And what I love about her is she's a physical player. Basketball is absolutely a contact sport, and that girl is physical. She takes charges. She drops her shoulder. She gets up. She's come back from multiple injuries, serious injuries, showing perseverance and mental toughness. I have the ultimate respect for her as a competitor. I have no doubt that she's going to be a great player in the WNBA.
I will flip back to Elijah Martin, and I'll let you comment on this one, Marvin. Elijah Martin, a heck of a player. We all saw what he did during championship moments, not only at FAU, but Florida. What are your thoughts about the kind of player this guy's going to be?
I honestly, I don't, the name doesn't, I'm not picturing him right now. I got to pass. I'm sorry, Scott.
That's all right. Candy, why don't you come up with some stats, and then we'll go back to Marvin. I know you do.
Okay, so his career highlights: he was an NC2A champion in 2025. Obviously, he played so he started high school in North Pike, Summit, Mississippi. He played for Florida Atlantic from 2024 20-24, and then Florida for 24-25. He was drafted second round, 39th overall pick. He was drafted by the Toronto Raptors. He was first team All Conference USA 2023, second team All AAC in 2024, third team All Conference USA in 2022, and Conference USA Tournament MVP in 2023. After he played sparingly as a freshman for the Owls, he averaged 13.9 points and 5.3 rebounds per game as a sophomore. Following that, the next year he averaged 13.4 points and 5.3 rebounds again. And then his final season with the Owls, he averaged again 13.1 points and 5.9 rebounds. And then he entered the transfer portal. He transferred to the University of Florida. He made an instant impact, emerging as a Gators starting shooting guard. In a game against Southern Illinois, he recorded 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, leading Florida to a 93-68 victory. Against Auburn in the Final Four, he scored 17 points in a 79-73 victory. In the national championship game against Houston, he tallied 7 points, helping lead the Gators to the school's third national championship.
All right, Marvin, you have a little more to work with there, brother?
Yeah, but I heard everything I needed to hear in the first 10 seconds because, listen, in the NFL, it's normal. You see a lot of undrafted guys make the team like I did, okay? In the NBA, going in the second round is like being undrafted to me, okay? And if you don't get picked really like in the top 15, usually them dudes ain't, it ain't happening. Now, I wish him the best. I love the story. I'm rooting for all these kids to make it because I know what it is. But like I said, it's if he's going in 39th pick, I mean, I think Bronny would have had him, right? Bronny was 50 something. But that's my take, Scott.
Hey, Marvin, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You ever heard of Dennis Rodman?
And Udonis has him. Listen, I know, but I'm saying, look at the numbers.
But I'm asking you a question. Yeah. You ever heard of Dennis Rodman?
I love UD. Yeah.
He did pretty well. And you know what? When I beat him in bowling, he had to pay for my bowling after I won the second game, and he won the first one, and he criticized my form for being unusual, which he knows was right.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's a true story, people. Dennis Rodman. I think Elijah Martin will be fine. I love you, Marvin. That's why I can go out there and bring up.
I'm giving it to you raw, baby. Yeah.
You're the best, brother. All right, Tommy. You enjoyed this little extra time here because I got some stuff that's right up your alley, Tommy. We just had to get through these little patches here.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the guy either, but obviously he has the big game.
And he does.
He has the big game credentials. He's 6'2", 208, and I guess he has a lot of athleticism. It's going to come down to his intangibles, but whether he's going to make it in the NBA. So, and I don't know what kind of intangibles he has.
Well, that's good enough. All right, don't worry. I got a topic that's going to be really up your alley in a second. Believe me when I tell you. Well,
my biggest thing is when you said he went in the second round, like that's a kind of concern for me because I had I mentioned before, like I used to train Kevin Knox Sr. His son was Kevin Knox Jr. Came out of Kentucky, first round, number 8 pick, was picked by the New York Knicks, and he never gets to touch the floor. He doesn't. He's been bounced around like he was with Golden State the last couple of years, but he doesn't get to play a lot. So those draft picks, I'm not quite sure if they really mean that much at this point. Like I don't know what happens inside those camps or what, but I tell you what, as Candy was reading off his stats of what he did, like it was goosebumps. Like he did what? But the scary part is once you get to the league, between the politics and coaching and personalities, you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, Candypedia did a good job there. Candypedia, that's a good name for it. We're going to come up with that one. Candypedia. Oh, these are good stuff, though. Candypedia.
You're going to get to see some things from Wikipedia.
I get with it. Candypedia. I'll never hear the end of this league game later, but that's okay. I'll deal with it. All right, Jacob, go ahead because now it's going to get more interesting.
He had some good games, and you named a few good games. But one of the things I'm hearing with something like this is like the 13 points, like 6 rebounds, 5.9 rebounds, all that stuff. He's in a second round, which absolutely Marvin was saying it himself. It's like being undrafted. Right. That's the biggest, toughest part of it. And another thing is he doesn't have any real stat. He's obviously a wonderful team player to be able to move from the team, but he doesn't have any stats that stick out to really be a full-time with the NBA. And I don't see a Dennis Rodman on this or anything like that. Because see, one thing about Rodman is at least he had one thing that he could really focus with. 2 things: defense and rebounding. He could really focus on.
Well, so the thing about Rodman is he was drafted in the second round. That's it.
Yeah. But
that's all.
That was the thing I was just saying is there's just not a gigantic stat, and it is such a political. All of sports is so political now to be able to make it on that team. And how does he stand out? Wonderful team player, but that's in college. There's not a whole lot of teamwork in the NBA at all. Very ISO league.
You think? Okay, let's go ahead, Candy. We'll go to a station break after you say something else.
Okay, so I just want to quick go over his high school career. So he attended North Pike High School. He was a multi-sport athlete. He played football as a quarterback, passing for 2,100 yards and rushing for 1,300 yards in his senior season. And in his senior basketball season, he averaged 25.4 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 3.4 steals per game. The one thing I will say is I think a lot of where you get drafted obviously makes a difference. Number-wise, not so much. But he's going to Toronto, and it depends on the team that is surrounding him, whether he will have success. We've talked about coaching for other players as quarterbacks. The same is going to be for him in Toronto. Let's face it, Damian Lillard left Milwaukee. He went back to Toronto. He's going to be one of his teammates. He's going to be a leader, helping these young guys succeed.
All right, now it's time for your station break, Candy.
Okay, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, including Jacob. He actually wrote, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. But the most important thing, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Really? Seriously? Really? What are you waiting for? Click it, like us, share us, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified anytime we go live. Back to you, Scott.
All right, Tommy, I got a good one for you. You ready?
Yeah.
I got a few good ones here. This was really, I had you in mind with this one. But don't worry, there's some other good ones on the way. The NCAA that permanently banned 3 men's basketball players, Michael Robinson, Jalen Weaver, and Stephen Backwest, for betting on their own games and manipulating outcomes. Fresno State and San Jose State dismissed the players but did not pay penalties. This is bad stuff, Tommy.
Hey, I'm not a gambler, so I don't follow that stuff closely. But from everything I understand, the more gambling is legal, the more you catch the bad guys, or the trends are noticed. So I don't really have a lot to add to that one.
Oh, that's no problem, Tommy. I got a few more. Don't worry. Marvin, some thoughts on this?
Ignorant. Absolutely ignorant on the players' part, especially in the day of NIL. That's just greed. That's greed. That's ignorance. They know better. At the collegiate level and in pro sports, they tell you constantly. There are signs on the wall. They have meanings for this. You hear about Pete Rose and all these other dudes. There's no excuse for it. Honestly, these kids are young. I believe in forgiveness, so I think the embarrassment, how people are now questioning their integrity and everything else, is damaging, and they'll deal with that. But there's no excuse, and let them be a lesson.
Well,
was that football or basketball?
Basketball.
Well, you know what, man, when I was in college, man, I remember some of my teammates, they was always gambling. I remember we used to take a road trip from Utah all the way down to Newport Beach every year for spring break. We had to stay with the team and train. So halfway down, they give us our money before we leave Utah. We driving down, we stop in Vegas. These guys always, 2 years in a row, I watched them gamble their money away. So by the time we get to Los Angeles, these guys are paying for food like this. They eating ramen noodles. I'm eating steak. That gambling is a sickness. And I saw it with the Olympic team too. Those guys, some people just, they'll vote, they'll gamble on anything. I could write a book on that alone, but I think it's a sickness more than it is just kids being stupid.
Excellent point, Jacob.
Well, growing up, let me say this, Will. Let me say this. Growing up, I watched wrestling. It was Gorilla Monsoon, gigantic gambler. Like, he carried $40,000 in cash with him to go gamble.
Wow.
And if he had a good day, he's going out with double. And so, but at the same time, he could also lose $40,000 in the morning before a wedding. You know what I mean? It's like, you have all that stuff, but he was there's a huge difference on this. These ones that are doing this right now are on basically every 2 weeks and or every month waiting for their check. Someone like Gorilla is show by show by show by show, and you're always getting a check in the mail. So you could be able to do something like that. So, but the biggest thing that we can say with the gambling by itself is you really don't see. You always see the role players, all that kind of stuff like that. They don't get them. They're trying to gamble into getting the same amount of money that, say, a LeBron gets. Plus they love the excitement. Plus they get all that kind of stuff. They don't get and it's like, by itself, they've been doing this since they were probably 10 years old.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's a freakishness to it and a sickness to it. They probably didn't. Is it ignorant? Like Marvin said, absolutely, it's ignorant. It's stupid. And it's like we're on the internet. We're on the internet and everything. But I have a question to ask on this right here. How much? I'm not saying it by skill. How much would Michael Jordan be a star now? Or would he get caught with the way now? He can bet 60,000 a hole or whatever he does, in his time playing golf now and do all that. And back in the time, you didn't have all those bets. He could just make his bets with his bookies and get threatened to go pay. They could do that in silence. Yeah. Now, all of that, it's like it's all out there. So how much would Michael Jordan have been a star, or would they have banned him immediately in this day and age?
There's actually a documentary that's floating around Hollywood right now. The director actually he contacted me through a friend of mine and asked me to help them produce this thing. But it has a lot of people's name in it. Matter of fact, he even has a confession from what's his name, Pete Rose. He's got Pete Rose's confession before he passed. But there's Jordan in there. There's Charles Barkley in there. There's a whole lot of names that I probably won't say here. But yeah, it's definitely a sickness, I believe, because you just can't take that stuff too far.
Junior Seau. Junior lost a lot of money that way.
Junior Seau?
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right.
Probably Junior Seau, he was also real sick too,
Yeah,
he's real sick.
A lot more than sick, that's for sure. We'll leave that for another day. All right, Candy has the last word. I want to talk about Tom Izzo and what transpired today after this topic and a couple more football things, college football that I know Tommy loves to talk about. All right, so go ahead, Candy.
They're absolutely ridiculous. Gambling is so readily accessible now that it's so easy to do. But let's face it, that's the whole reason why Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame. And we've all talked about it. Should he or shouldn't he? These kids know better. They're told not to do it, and yet they still want to do it. They should be banned. I'm sorry. They should be.
Okay, fair enough. But one of the big stories that occurred today, Jacob made me aware of it, and I did a little bit of research. Tom Izzo rips the NCAA for allowing G League players back in college hoops. It's ridiculous to me. It's embarrassing. He made notation of the fact that Louisville went ahead and brought on a player and they got Izzo work. So Jacob, you talked about it with me earlier. Give me your thoughts about what took place here with Tom Izzo in the G League. Obviously, the players going back to college hoops. This is a pretty interesting story.
It's what it looks like now. It's going to be they're going to be a standard now. We're going to try to see more of this. It's okay. I failed here, so let me try again. That's what it looks like. But it's kind of pulling that whole idea between, as Megan called it, semi-pro to pro, and it's making that thin now. It really is. And then here's another deal. If they allow this more and more, how much is it going to be like Dream Team for 1992 versus all of those teams, like Angola? How much is it going to be? It's like, are we going to have any you have a Duke in North Carolina. Are we going to have any more rivalries after? Because if you're allowed to get pros, all the bigger Kentuckys, the Dukes, the Syracuses, the North Carolinas, all of them are going to be picking up all of those players. So the competition is going to be less and less because they're going to have pros on the team now.
Tommy, what's your take on this?
The thing that I read about this was Izzo was upset about was that the NCAA made the decisions without consulting the coaches about their opinions. It's talking about now you're going to have pro players, former pro players, and what are you supposed to tell the freshman you're recruiting?
Right.
Where does he fit into the team?
Wait.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. We've been on this slippery slope ever since I was always against the NIL and all that stuff because it's just a slippery slope that's led to where we are now.
Yeah, I think it took an all new level today with all this stuff that came about. Marvin?
Yeah, from a player's perspective, I love it. I love that the player has the flexibility to do that. Good for them. I played in the 90s where you couldn't do anything. There's no NIL, there's no revenue sharing, there's none of that. So, and obviously it's a different sport, but it's player empowerment. You know, these guys are making a lot of money. The sport's generating a lot of money. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's not about the fans, y'all. It's not about our feelings. How can they make money? How can they improve their product? How can they bring in more sponsorships? How can they get people in the stands? That's what it comes down to. I don't have an issue with it. And listen, at the end of the day, people have a problem with change. We had the same, to Tom's point of NIL, we had the same broken system for 100 years. Okay. I call it broke for 100 years. So I can understand how football traditionalists, have an issue with, well, they're getting paid now and they get to go and they don't understand the reality of the business and how the players are the ones bringing the money in. So, it's a new day. That's all we're seeing. It's a new day. The game is changing. The business of the game is changing. And, us old timers are stuck here having to deal with it.
Hey, can I ask you a question though, Marvin?
Please.
I mean, this is the thing is that you're correct on that because what I said about NIL, you weren't here yet when I said it. I've been saying this many times on here. NCAA's getting what they deserve with NIL because of all the goofiness that they did to put sanctions on. They put sanctions on coaches for getting a kid food. And all that kind of stuff.
100%,
it's stupid.
100%.
They put it on themselves. So I've said that 1,000 times. But let me ask you this: there are ones that are very smart with money. Any and every player that's ever had a business dad, business uncle, business whatever, any of these players that know this will be well and ready. But there's a lot of players that don't have that. Are they ready for the responsibility of that kind of money, or will they get themselves broke by spending, learning, all that kind of stuff like that? That's my question.
Yeah. So, and I've heard that question before. I've heard people say that they're just going to spend the money and go broke with it. If that's what they choose to do, that's them. Unfortunately, the reality is this: why don't we have the same energy for these young other entertainers, the kids on Disney, these young singers?
I'm with you.
How come? Why are we targeting the young athletes and not anybody else? And the athletes are the ones responsible for the $2.5 billion these conferences are getting paid. You know what I'm saying?
No, Marvin, I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I'm a trained actor.
I got you. But to your point, so I don't know for a fact what the schools do, but when you look at, for example, USC, who's big NIL now, I would have a hard time believing that when they're pitching these freshmen or these seniors in high school and they're talking to these kids about NIL and how much money they're going to make, I have a hard time believing that they don't have a program or some type of something in place to help guide them through that. I would bet my life that they do, but I haven't heard that, so I don't want to say for sure. But there's no way that these schools are giving these kids the money and nobody is helping guide these kids. So it is what it is. Like I said, this whole thing is just happened, and we're still trying to figure out, put up the guardrails and the rules and how we're going to do this. It's a slippery slope for sure, but it ain't going nowhere.
Boy, you brought up a good point with Disney, though, because I've been with the Disneys, with the Nickelodeons, with all that stuff. I've been wanting this stuff for ages. How many kids I'm hearing from those areas have gone broke? They're homeless.
Yeah.
A lot of these child stars. Oh, my God, I want to see something like that for them also. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Will, what's your take on this?
My take is the system is working. It's working. But the problem is they was trying to get these people on the screen right here, but it got these kids. Because if you look right now, man, I stopped watching ESPN because like everything report they do, it's about numbers and point swings. I don't understand any of that. I'm not a gambler, but they beating it down our throats now. You cannot get away from it. And so it's going to affect everybody who's watching it, these young kids, because they want to be on ESPN. So it was designed to happen. They just didn't hope that it was going to get to the kids. They didn't think that far, but it's happening by design. This is America. This is what they do. Yeah.
Andy?
Izzo said today's college basketball has no rules, and kids aren't the problem. We're the problem. I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'm not real excited about the NCAA or whoever is making these decisions without talking to us, just letting it go. Someone is going to say, well, if they go pro and it doesn't work out, they should be able to come back. Well, what about the freshman you recruited there?
Right.
That's somebody's son, and he thinks he got himself a good place, and all of a sudden, shazam, they pull out of their hat and bring in a 21 or 22-year-old from the G League. To me, that's ridiculous, and it's embarrassing. You know, there's two of them. Darian, 21, committed to Santa Clara last month after spending parts of 2 seasons in the G League, while London Johnson, who spent 3 seasons in the league, will attend Louisville. So, do I think that's fair? No. You there's a progression, and I don't think once you step over that line into the pros, the G League, you can come back to college sports. But that's my personal opinion.
Well, Candy, the thing about it, I say, is I think a lot of people aren't going to take Izzo seriously, unfortunately, on something like this, because he comes up with an Abe Simpson, the yell at a cloud, the mentality all the time. He sounds like that with so many, and not just this. He sounds like, back in my day, we shot 2-handed set shots. That's what he sounds like in every argument. He sounds like it's like the only thing that sounded now was the fact that he doesn't blame kids. He blames us and the parents and all that stuff. So that's the first time he hasn't sounded really old. But if you hear a younger coach bring it up, they might say something. But a lot of the older coaches, they're going to just sound like, oh, he's well past his prime. Oh.
What about that 57-year-old linebacker?
The what?
What about that 57-year-old linebacker, collegiate linebacker?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He's back.
Yeah.
And he's getting money. Man, he's got deals.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no question.
Yeah. Only in America, baby.
Man.
Yeah.
Only in America. Well, you know what?
Dust off my shit.
Well, you know what? That's a great transition, Marvin, because only in America can college. This is a Tom Shanahan special. And yes, we're going to get a Shanahan report in a few minutes. Okay, hang here. Tommy, I appreciate your patience hanging with us a little. I appreciate you, buddy. You will get a Shanahan reference tonight. I promise you that. Okay. But only in America can we schedule games out this far. James Madison University and Liberty play each other September 15th. 2040 people, the furthest college football game on record. Now we went from 2039 to 2040. James Madison University and Liberty. What do you think, Tommy? Just gotta leave this one, Tom Shanahan, and maybe somebody else. Go about this one, Tommy.
Hey, they've always scheduled games 10 years out in advance. So 2039, that's only 14 years.
15, 14, I think 2040.
Yeah, once they started expanding to 11 and 12 games, there wasn't so much 10 years, but before then it was always a 10 years. So I don't think it's much. I don't think much of it.
Okay, that's fine. Good enough. Okay, what do you think there, Marvin? I don't know where I have an idea where I'll be in 2040, but that's with the rest of my family.
Did you quit making Candy sad?
I'll stop. She's used to it. But she's the reason I'm alive. She's the reason I even made it this far. Go ahead, Marvin. 2040, James Madison Liberty. You want me to get your press credential for it?
Listen, yeah, let's do it, brother.
Okay.
Let's set a date and do it. Yeah, they're just locking up the business. That's all. I'm with Tom. No story here.
No problem. Certainly worth putting out there, though. Let's schedule out everything 15 years apart. What do you think, Will?
I'm not quite sure on that one. But
Sure.
what I am sure of is I need your book, man. I need an autographed book from you.
Okay, we'll work on it.
But I need everybody to sign it. You guys are part of my journey, brother.
That's
Coming
all right.
back from not being able to
You're
form
part
sentences,
of our,
and I'm here.
You're part of our journey. When you come on Wednesday night, you're part of our journey. And when we go on our other show Wednesday night, you're part of our journey. Well, don't worry. I got another interesting college football one as well. Candy, some thoughts about this game 15 years from now?
With conference realignment like we have, are we going to see more conference realignment? And we've seen teams then decommit from what they scheduled years in advance. So because of they can't fit them all in. So you never know. That could happen with this too. You just never know.
Okay, Jacob.
Well, I mean, if it's 14, 15 years, and we once had it for 10, we're going to see in 20 years soon, and we're going to see 8-year-olds setting up the schedules and everything like that. So it's not a huge deal. And by the way, you're going to live to 100, and she's going to go, ha ha.
Yeah, her cat says that to me all the time. I'll be in my rocking chair wherever I buy the thing at anyways. I think I got one in Cracker Barrel that'll fit here someplace. All right, well, that's good enough. All right, does anybody know who Ohio State's real rivalry is in the state, inside the state?
Miami, Ohio?
Anybody want to take a guess at it?
In football?
University.
Well, yeah, football.
Youngstown?
You want to take a guess? Anybody? There's a reason why I brought this topic up. All right, let's have some fun with this one. Ohio State defeated Ohio, the University of Ohio University. 37-9, people. And Bo Jackson, get this, Bo Jackson. Not the one we all know, though, by the way. Made a name for himself in the Ohio State backfield. And get this, Ohio State played Ohio State for the first time in 15 years, and Ohio State paid Ohio $1.9 million to play the game. $1.9 million. You didn't even have to go to state line to do it. Marvin, what do you think about this rivalry? Ohio State University, the Buckeyes against Ohio Bobcats, people. That's a very good question.
It's tough, man. Ohio State, they got like a $40 million payroll, and I know those Bobcats do not have anything close to that. So it's just tough, man. You're talking about two different caliber of athletes, but it's football. Any given Sunday, any given Saturday. The reality is, though, Ohio State versus Ohio. Now that's a massacre. They walked into a murder on that one.
For 37-9 game, I'll take $1.9 million all the time.
Yeah,
and Howard Schnellenberger made a living building the FAU program doing it. What do you think of that rivalry, Thomas?
Hey, for the longest time, Ohio State wouldn't play any of those Mid-America Conference teams. Bowling Green, Ohio, Miami, wouldn't play any of them. Now that the times have changed, there's more. They'll pay them and then run up the score on them. So yeah, that's Ohio State.
$1.9 million to give it to your little baby brother.
Now it's worth it to them. Before that was beneath them. Now it's worth it to them if they can run up the score.
No kidding. Absolutely, Tommy. Don't worry, it gets better. You only have one more football subject you're on the hook for, then you get the Shanahan report. And if Jacob's a good boy, he gets funded, okay? And I'm sure he will. I love Jacob. You know that, man. All right, Will, what do you think, buddy?
Man, there's a lot of schools that take those whoopings. I remember University of Pacific used to do it all the time. But those kids get beat up. I mean, they coming back broke legs, arms, and clavicles. And that school's getting that money. I think it's bad. It's awful. Like, these schools shouldn't be playing no USC or any of those schools, man. They probably need to do something. They probably need to stop some of that. However, every now and then you see Appalachian State show up and, knock off Michigan or somebody like that.
That's
so you just don't never know.
No.
But it happens, man.
Do that.
Yeah. You just never know what's going to happen. But
yeah, but I need to hear that.
That was a great game.
But they got to do better. These
And
kids are
who's
getting roughed
I?
up, man. These kids, I'm telling you, they're coming back with broke legs and all types of stuff. We've seen it happen year after year. So
the
they
only thing
really
that broke
should.
Michigan was their ego, and they had to schedule them for another $500,000 to make the series 1-1 all time. No,
Which one? Michigan and Ohio State?
no, Appalachian State. They ended up
Appalachian State.
having,
Yeah.
they had now that you brought it up, they ended up scheduling another game, and Michigan did win that one. But they had to save face so that they weren't 0-1 against that state. But I will say this much about it. One of my friends who's actually a prognosticator asked me a question about it. So I have a feeling this game will be a lot more close than people think because I knew App State won a championship at that level. Boy, was it ever to a point where it was a big upset. And nowadays it isn't so much of one when those teams win. But boy, people are conscious of that. Michigan State.
But the thing is that they beat a big school, then they go back and lose in their conference.
After you get example.
Like, what's up with that?
Really, seriously, you're asking me for a buck, and you have to. I'll give it to you. Don't bring that one up. I have a problem sleeping. The only thing you can hope for in that James Madison game is they have a hyperbaric chamber inside a hotel room so you can use it. Depending on how big they are. There you go. That works. All right.
9 feet long.
Nah, I'm sure. Okay, I don't know what hotel they have out there. I only know the follower find out. I have a.
These guys are traveling with these college players are traveling with these now. Travis Hunter had one.
Great stuff.
They wise.
All right, Katie, some thoughts about this rivalry. A couple more topics I want to get to. Who knows if we get to not sports, but I'll hold them over next week.
The lesser known school gets paid a lot of money for Ohio State to beat them up. But it helps their program, and let's face it, they need those funds to be more competitive within their own conference. That's how FAU started. That's how they started building their program. That's how you get stadiums for some of these, smaller schools. That's how you get some of their players and probably so am I surprised? No. And actually that's probably a closer score than I would have really thought it would have been. I dread Saturday because I'm just hoping Wisconsin can be at least that close to Ohio State when they play them this weekend.
Okay, there you go. Jacob?
Let me say this part. Knowing that all of these teams that take all this money, and some of them are winning now, not that Ohio's going to beat Ohio State, obviously. But the one thing that you know is I am shocked that some of these teams don't think ahead a little bit and get out of a conference and go independent so they can take 10 teams, 11 teams that are really, really good, go 0-11 and go get all that money. And then they can rebuild their stadium. They could do all that stuff. Then go find a conference later.
You have to rebuild their players too because they're going to be all broken up.
Yeah.
They couldn't take those lickings, man. Those are whoopings they take.
No. You're correct on that, but I'm shocked that someone hadn't thought of something like that because a lot of these times whatsoever, they are down on money. So it's like they need every dime for that moment. So it shocked me that someone hasn't thought of that yet. Just trying not to go into a conference or start out like that and just go play and see what happens. Yeah, it would be tough on the players. It'd be like Tampa Bay 1976. It'd just be a bunch of beat up and you'd have a bunch of truckers to try to replace them. But that's where I'm at is they probably do 2 or 3 of those games a year, but they got conference games. So then the rest of the time it's beat up. You would think by itself they'd start the conference games almost early and then go to the later in the year so these kids are ready. They're fresh. Because they're going to the conference games destroyed.
Yeah.
True. That's why I was actually surprised Miami played Notre Dame first and then went to some of the lesser opponents. We'll leave that for another time. Tommy, the last football topic we're going to talk about, then we'll go to the Shanahan Report. Thanks for hanging with me a little bit longer. I appreciate that. Great friend. And obviously he does a wonderful job on Inside the Pigskin and comes on the Sports Exchange twice a month. And I appreciate it. All right. The last thing we're going to talk about is the pro topic of the Pittsburgh Steelers with the recent winner now 19-1 versus the Browns under Mike Tomlin. They were 18-1 previously. The lone loss was in the 2021 playoffs. You talk about the mastery of Cleveland, Tommy, at home. Let me tell you something. The Pittsburgh Steelers definitely have the Browns number. What are your thoughts about that, Tom?
Mike Tomlin's their coach.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. He is.
Steelers are always going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, the dominance over Cleveland, that doesn't surprise you at all.
Oh, Cleveland's a joke.
Yeah, there you go.
No surprise at all.
Okay, Marvin.
Yeah, Cleveland. I mean, listen, we can get 11 people from the South Florida Tribune to go out and meet the Browns.
Or be at least close.
Right. But listen, Tom said, he's good, but after so many years, it's time for him to transition beyond just being able to beat the Browns. Hopefully, him and A-Rod can do something in the AFC. But yeah, it's dominance. The Browns have had a new quarterback. You feel like every single year since they started in '99. And I'll tell you about those Browns. Their first win ever was against me my rookie year. They beat us on a Hail Mary in the Superdome. Last play of the game, Tim Couch I forgot his name. But yeah, but the Steelers are definitely better than the Browns.
Well,
Man, Browns out. What do you say? I mean, they are what they are. They are what they've always been. I don't think they're ready to change that just yet. You already see it with them having three quarterbacks in a room. I still don't know why they got rid of Flacco. Like you should have probably kept that guy. I don't know. I'm a little bit suspect.
Well, the only thing I'll say is Mike Tomlin's mastery over the Browns is great. 19-1, and the only game he lost was a playoff game. Jacob, keep it simple, stupid, because I got a fun.
I know, understand that. No, Mike Tomlin, you got to realize this goes beyond beating the Browns. The guy has 9 wins with third string quarterbacks. So we're never going to see that again. He is the ultimate in next up, the ultimate. And the thing is, so it's obvious that he would beat the Browns. But the Browns by itself, it's like, let's just say you switch him over to the Browns for a second. Could he do the same thing with them? No. And I love Mike Tomlin, I love all that, but you're never going to get a chance because they're just a terrible organization up and down. I've read some of their grades. They have a terrible food thing over there, like in their cafeteria. They have terrible training facilities, terrible everything. They're not a good program. It's just, they need to tear it all down. I'm not talking about the games nor the players. They need to tear it all down and just get a better weight room, better food, better everything, better rules. And you need to have all that stuff. That starts there before you even start winning.
Candy.
Hey, the Steelers have been a force to be reckoned with in that over there. The Browns, yeah, they get an occasional win here and there, but they can't sustain anything, And to think that they've had how many quarterbacks, and we talked about this in the beginning. They had how many quarterbacks on that roster, and we're like, okay, who's going to be? There wasn't a real clear 1, 2, and then they start trading this one away and this one away and this one. What are they doing? Are they? What are they? I mean, are they trying to tank? Are they trying to develop like the players that they have now? Like we talked about how the Packers have sat their quarterbacks that they drafted. Aaron Rodgers sat for how many years under Brett Favre? Jordan sat, and now all of a sudden you had veterans, not that they were really good veterans, but you had veterans so that you could sit your people that you drafted and now you trade those away and you're going to throw in your rookies. I just don't understand, but that's an organization that I've never understood.
That's okay, but what I do understand is we have a Shanahan report from Tom Shanahan. Go out, give us the latest, Tommy, and thanks for hanging with us a little bit longer. One thing I do want to point out before I do that, there's a footnote to last week when we talked about Rick Pitino. He became the first coach ever to take 6 schools to an NCAA tournament when he did it with St. John. Some thoughts about that, Tommy, before we go to the Shanahan report?
Pitino?
Yeah, 6 schools to the NCAA. That's surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, he's obviously a great coach. He's pretty unethical about a lot of things. I can't believe he's rebuilt St. John's as quickly as he has. He's amazing.
Okay, now we'll go to the Shanahan report. Put it out there, Mike. And thanks again for hanging with me a little bit longer, Tom. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I went out to North Carolina basketball today. There was media availability with Hubert Davis, their coach, before they leave to play BYU. And I wanted to ask him about how North Carolina has maintained Dean Smith's legacy. These guys playing for North Carolina, the students on campus, they weren't even born when Dean Smith was done coaching. And then Dean went into dementia, and he was no longer a presence on campus. But they've maintained Dean Smith's legacy at North Carolina. One of the reasons is Hubert Davis and Sean May were talking about, I asked him about, is every single coach on that staff, either Hubert Davis played for Dean Smith, and the others either played for Dean Smith's successors, Guthridge or Roy Williams, and they've coached on the staff. They're all linked to Dean Smith. And that might sound like inbreeding, but as Hubert Davis said, we all have different perspectives. I'm different than Dean Smith was. I'm different than Coach Williams was. Coach Guthridge was different from all of us. And they're able to share all that with their players and maintain that legacy. And then, of course, everything I write about is history. And I compare that to how Michigan State has egregiously let Duffy Doherty get forgotten into history on his own campus, not to mention nationally. So North Carolina, the North Carolina way, that's the way they do it.
So Tom, as we let you go, let everybody know how to get a hold of you. And once again, I can't thank you enough for
my website, where you can find that story, TomShanahan.report. Shanahan, just like the 49ers coach. Twitter, Shanny4055.
All right, Tom, thanks for staying with us. I'll see you next Tuesday night, right, my friend?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Tommy. Appreciate you. Have a great night. Thank you for hanging.
All right, Tom.
All right, so we're down to 5 of us. Marvin, some quick thoughts about Pitino, and then we're going to go ahead. And I got topics for every one of you just by yourself so we can get everything in. So give me your thoughts real quickly about Pitino.
Yeah, quickly. Great coach. I've been watching him since I was a kid. I personally have the utmost respect for him as a competitor, and he's one of the best to ever do it. Period.
Okay, Marvin, a topic for yourself. Watch out for USC running back King Miller. He had 18 carries, 158 yards, a touchdown, and 31-13 win over Michigan. Just give me your overall thoughts. What kind of a prospect this guy is?
Listen, this is actually a walk-on redshirt freshman for the Trojans. He was offered scholarships at smaller schools, but he was a local kid and wanted to play for his hometown Trojans. He's a home run hitter. He's about 6'1". I'd probably give him like 215, maybe 210. Nice build, really nice build, but breakaway speed, man. Not so much wiggle. Isn't going to make you miss as much. Even though he does have some great highlights, his big thing is he breaks long runs. That's what he did against Michigan. And in every other game we had this year, other than Illinois, this kid had a big run. So great prospect, and he'll be starting for us in 2 weeks when we go to Nebraska.
Now, I got some more USC stuff coming down the pipe. Marvin, I just want to make sure we got this one over to you. Jacob, I have a topic for you since you're from the greater Chicago area. This one's just yours only, okay? The Chicago Fire will build a $650 million soccer stadium at 78 in South Loop, which will be privately funded by owner Joe Masuto. Looks like somebody beat Jerry Reinsdorf and the Chicago White Sox to the punch, meaning he planned to build a new stadium there. What are your thoughts about the Chicago Fire taking it upon themselves to build a stadium in that area?
Well, you brought up Reinsdorf. Reinsdorf's nearing 90 years old. And it's like, this is a younger guy. This is a younger guy right here. He's taking it upon himself, putting the initiative. He's trying to make and Chicago, being truthful, Chicago's struggling in sports. They're struggling in sports right now. The White Sox have looked awful. They're trying to build their way back. The Cubs had a playoff this year. It's been the first time in a little bit. Bears, they're trying to work their way. The Bulls are a perpetual 39-win team.
Yeah,
they're a perpetual 39-win team, and it's like, they just struggle. It's just everything is a struggle. So the Fire has a chance to be able to get it out there. So why not build? And the private funds and doing all that stuff reminds me of Joe Robbie back in the Win. You know what I mean? 1990 or something, building his own stadium with his own money. So that's always going to get a goodwill with the fans, which I usually don't care about the fans. You're going to hear this on the next part. But in this case, there are good fans out there, and you want the goodwill for that, and you want them to come to your stadium.
Sounds good. All right, I got a couple non-sports topics I want to throw out there as well. First one, Bill Gates says he's giving all of his 200, nearly all his 200 billion fortune to Africa. Marvin, he's giving it to Africa. Good place to give it.
All right, listen. It's a continent with people in need, without question. You could do a lot of good for anybody in the world with that kind of money. I think you can spread that out and impact all kinds of people right here at home, and obviously, anywhere you want. But it's his money. You do what you want with it. It's your right. The fact that he has a heart to give it is phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I love to hear that kind of stuff, and yeah, kudos to him.
Anybody else have any thoughts about this non-sports?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but
Go
I know
ahead,
there was.
Will.
Oh, yeah, they talked about that, and I think that if I'm not mistaken, the country he wanted to give it to in Africa rejected the money because he was coming up with some other conditions.
Oh, is that right?
He's got that thing where he's got all these vaccines, and it was something else. I forgot what it really was, but there were some conditions, and I think Africa said we don't want that money. And I don't know if that was a fake article or something, but
I don't know.
I believe that's what happened.
I have reliable sources, but if they don't want the money, I'm sure he'll find other places to distribute that money. No big deal. Jacob, you have anything
There's
to say about it?
There's a lot of those if he picks it to another, there's a lot of those African nations that did not believe in that vaccine to begin with. They're afraid of that, so they're going to turn it down too. But truthfully, for all the money that he's worth, a lot of it is of course a lot of it's cash and you'd be able to give it off immediately, but a lot of it's speculation because that's it's assets, it's from your it's whatever your real estate holdings are, it's all that stuff. So how much? I mean, that basically goes up and down day to day. So his worth would be that. So how much truly is he worth? As far as cash wise, I can give away right now. But
the way the way he makes his money, they said he can give all his money away and he'll have it back in 3 years.
Well, I can believe that. I can believe that, but you can do that with the cash that he has. I'm talking about cash flow. No one has 200 billion in cash flow.
Yeah,
that's what we're bringing up. There's assets. There's all that stuff like that. That you obviously he's on the markets. It's all that thing. So once he passes away, his the money he has, it's going to be a pain to figure out what goes because and how much it's really worth. Plenty, you're right. Yeah. It's not to say he's not broke. It's like he's able to give away more than enough.
Yeah.
So all right, Katie, some quick thoughts on this one more non-sports topic. Then we're going to talk about Sister Jean and Fun It.
Well, he announced that the majority of the foundation's $200 billion pledge to be given away over 20 years will go to Africa to support health, education, and development initiatives. The foundation's work includes funding programs for healthcare, disease prevention, nutrition, agriculture, and gender equality. So, I mean, they're trying to fight a lot of different good. They're going to support water and sanitation, clean water and sanitation. Kudos to him. Like, I'm glad that he's using his money for good like that.
I can say this though, Candy. I'll say this real fast. I can say this. A lot of that stuff there with some of these countries and everything, the clean water, the health, everything they're going to be for. I can say gender equality is going to be a no to a lot of these countries. Yeah. Unfortunate, absolutely.
Okay, final sports non-sports topic of the night. Walmart warns it will raise prices because of tariffs due to the higher costs implemented by President Donald Trump, and obviously Elon Musk on Trump tariffs. He says will cause a recession in the second half of this year. I'll make it real quick. Okay, I know this could be controversial. I want to keep it conservative and straightforward. Who are you believing on this? Do you think that there will be a recession as a result of these tariffs? Marvin, some thoughts?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
Okay. You don't have to elaborate. If you do, fine. If you don't, no big deal.
Yeah, no, I do. I think there's going to be economic downturn. I think we're going to be impacted negatively, absolutely, from the tariffs.
I'm with you 100% on this one too. Those tariffs at Walmart, there's a recession, and we shop at Walmart. That's for sure. There's a lot of validity to this report.
Yeah, we're already in a recession, believe it or not. People just aren't really admitting. We've been in a recession for quite a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Jacob?
You can't. The big thing is, and I'm not disagreeing with either of you guys. It's like the guy, regardless if anybody likes him or does not, is exhausting. He's exhausting, and you can't tell if it's going to or not, because people thought it would be a huge, almost the depression by now because of what he chose. But every single time somebody comes to the table and blah, 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 but he exhausts everybody. And he just, oh my God, just like, oh, he did it again. But all it takes is one country, most likely China, to say no, they're not going to the table. That 155% the deal, it's like if that 155% tariff goes through that, knowing what comes from China, what goes through all that, then yes, there will be a recession. If China goes to the table, it's just basically a whole big poker game.
Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting thoughts. When I see Walmart in there, I get worried. Candy knows it. That's where we go. All right, Candy.
So let's face it, they have to. If it costs more to import these products that we're buying from other countries and we're putting tariffs on those, Walmart can't absorb them. Nobody, I mean, they can only absorb them to such an extent. If you're going to buy products that are imported and there's tariffs, you should be paying extra for it. Because if you have the opportunity to buy American or buy imported, it's your choice. You pick whether you're going to pay the extra for the imported or if you're going to have American.
All right, this topic I waited for Jacob to get back on appropriately. So, rest in peace, Sister Jean makes it to 106 years of age. Sister Jean, your legacy is unmatched by no other. Jacob, some quick thoughts because then you get to go to pundit about the show.
God was going, I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you on this one. You're pretty durable. She did wonderful in her life. She did wonderful, and she had to enjoy. I mean, and plus the big smile on her face, and she made so much of a difference to a lot of people in life, and that's the perfect way you can live. I remember hearing it first from Tim Tebow. There's the birth year and death year. Other people have been to it too. There's birth year and death year and the dash. What do you do with the dash? She did more than you could say with the dash.
Well,
Jacob just said a mouthful. For all the work that I do, trying to help people, I hope to have people say those same things about me when my time comes. And so it's really about the people that's here. Like I'm on social media so much, I'm looking at these complete strangers who's supposed to be the enemy, but they out here making jokes to make me laugh, and they posting it and they're going out their way. And I just that division that we have just around just even in our country alone, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, we out here together and we should just respect and love each other. That's what it should be.
Yeah, well, she was loved 106 years. She was loved 9 million more. Marvin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, great energy, great energy, great story. And, really love seeing her at these games and sorry to see her go. And but she definitely lived the life. Yeah.
Candy, any thoughts on Sister Jean?
What a great story. Like, we kept hearing about how old she was and how she kept supporting this team, and you'd see her, on the sidelines and everything like that. I mean, we all have a shelf life, unfortunately. I mean, rest in peace. She did so much good in the years that she had here. I hope she's enjoying her eternal resting place.
I can say this part real fast. It shows. One of the things about it is I was saying there's something about they said she's not going to be able to come back to work and all that kind of stuff like that. I knew her time was coming when she did that. She worked to the end.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I totally agree. When I said she couldn't come back, then that was a sense. The longest living relative I ever had that I knew was my Aunt Mary Must, who made it to 103. Rest in peace, Aunt Mary Must, as well as you, Sister Jean. All right, Jacob, you got about a minute and a half to 2 minutes with your pundit. At least we got it in. And then we'll wrap this puppy up. Great job by everybody that participated. Megan, Tommy, and of course, Jacob, Candy, Marvin, and Will. Great to have everybody on as well. All right, Jacob, pundit.
Will, you're getting to meet me for the first time. Marvin already knows this. This is that has to do. It's a usual thing I have to say with fans. I hate fans. I have a huge amount of things I say about fans all the time. Marvin already knows. But here's my thing here. I'm being here in Atlanta right now. They're talking about Michael Penix, and he may not play Sunday. His knee is an issue, which I brought up last year when they drafted him in the first place. Guys had 2 knee surgeries in college, but they did the drafting anyway, even when they got Kirk Cousins. And in the midst of a thing when they're 7-7 or 6-6, what did they do? 7-7, thank you. Thank myself. What did they do? The fans and the media teamed up to try to make Kirk a pariah and Penix a hero in the middle of a division race. Mind you, the defense was horrible. Jimmy Lake's defense was miserable. And then they even lost to a horrible Carolina team at the very end of the year, which, it shows that would have had all of that. They went 1-2 at the end, which that would have happened with Kirk no different. If they would have won it, it would have been with Kirk no different. All that kind of stuff. But there was a media and fan thing to be able to do that so they can go get him, Penix, to play. What do we have right now? Penix is hurt. All of a sudden, they love they want to see Kirko again. Kirko chains. They want to see him again. They want to see him again. They want to see Cole's cash. They want to see Cole's cash. Here's the thing. If Cole's cash wasn't as classy as he is after how he was treated and how the media pulled on it and all that stunt that these people pulled, we would be seeing Easton stick this week. This is what fans do not understand. They're doing the now. They always talk about, we want to win and we want to have a dynasty. Their thought processes are for 1 year all the time. Their thought processes are like a fantasy team. Get rid of this guy. I'm going to put this guy here. We're going to do this matchup, blah, 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 blah. They don't know anything. And I brought this part up before. It's like Penix was fine as a pick, but those knees. 2 blowout. He had 2 surgeries in college. Now he's having trouble again. But they don't think about this stuff when all they're thinking about is all the merch they can get and all the tailgates and all that stuff. And we're going to get a Super Bowl this year. Wow. All their thing, and it's like, meanwhile, it's like they're the ones that tried to get rid of and make Kirk a pariah.
Well, great.
Which you could have had. And I'll say this real fast and I'll go. I keep saying this and I'll say it all the time. 32 teams quit listening to fans. We would have a more competitive league. The end.
Great stuff.
A fanatic.
All right, Candy, put his thing up real quick, and we'll wrap up real quick. All right, there you go. The GoFundMe page for Will Person. One more time, you're seeing it on YouTube. Go ahead and take it down. You can also see it on our show earlier today, as well as at the beginning of the show. Candy, quick station break as we wrap this puppy up.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it like a share us, and then turn on your notifications. And as always, if you want to advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right, Marvin, go ahead quick. Jacob, as quick as you can. We only have about 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Marvin Powell III on Facebook, Marvin on the mic, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can catch me on South Florida Tribune Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening. You can catch me on Locked On USC Monday and Friday. You can catch me with USCJ once a week.
Great stuff, Marvin. Jacob, you got 20 seconds.
Jacob Christner on Facebook. Jacob Christner _ on Sideline One Sports for TikTok. Jacob Christner _ for Instagram. I am also on Sideline Sports. I am also guest on a lot of different shows. And then once in a blue moon, I even do some acting.
Beautiful. And I'll get you on another acting show with Rachel Galvin soon. I'm working on it. Will Person comes on with us. Will, you got about 5 seconds.
All right, you can find me really easy. William Person. Everybody's a person. Or One Man with a Chamber. You can find me. If your loved ones are struggling, being out of character, they've been around concussion-based stuff, find me. I'll help you work through it. Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next Wednesday. Sports Exchange. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great night.